Curse of Strahd is a very serious, very solemn, very scary campaign. Unless you're like me and you like a bit of humour with your horror and your violence, I'm a fan of things like Castlevania on Netflix, The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon, and they've got their scary moments and they've got their horror, but there's also a bit of banter, a bit of light relief spread throughout. And I think a Curse of Strahd campaign really benefits from having those elements and moments of slightly funny moments interspersed with all the horrible horrificness. I should really get a thesaurus. Horrible horrificness. Greetings, fellow Mist Wanderers. My name is Steve Morgan, and this is DM of the Mists, covering all things Curse of Strahd and Ravenloft. Since before starting this channel, I've had this silly idea of doing a reaction video on people's funny stories in Curse of Strahd. The plan was going to be that I would do a post on Reddit saying, I've got this idea for this video, please tell me your funniest stories, and then I will read them and react to them, film myself reading them for the first time, and so my reaction is genuine. I was going to do that post, and then beautifully, somebody a few weeks ago put a post called, what's the funniest thing that's happened in your campaign? So they've, what's the user called? Oh, Cedar Woodrun, thank you very much for doing this for me. You've saved me valuable minutes of time by doing this post and saving me the trouble. What I did is, when I saw that and saw that it got some traction and some people were responding to it, I did hold myself, right, I'm not going to read it yet. I'm going to read the top 5 stories based on upvotes and film myself, and you can see my genuine reaction to them. And hopefully, if you didn't see that post and you're seeing the stories, then you'll find it funny as well. As a bonus, there were 3 things that I can remember that happened in my campaign that were really funny. I wrote them up as posts on Reddit, and they all seemed to do fairly well. They got a fair few upvotes. One of them was concerning a funny moment happening during the Tome of Strahd reading, which obviously you expect to be really serious, and that's what I was going for. Probably one of the funniest moments in the campaign, that was. There was a funny moment involving just a silly bit of, the way I run Esmeralda is a little bit sort of silly, light-hearted, which kind of works well versus the very sort of, especially once he sheds his disguise, the very sort of serious, brooding Rudolph van Richten. Some sort of funny thing she told the players about the Abbot at Kresg at the Abbey. And there was a funny moment as well concerning the wolf hunters, Szoldar and Yevgeni, I think they're called, if memory serves, in Valaki. I will just essentially read those out at the end, or you can just pick. I'll include links in the description, including this funniest Curse of Strahd moments post, and you can feel free to read in your own time. Okay, so the 5th most popular post was by Opinion Hour 5797. It got 11 upvotes. Wild magic sorcerer transmuted into a rainbow-coloured sheep for 2 rounds. They were fighting some blights that didn't seem to mind much. It headbutted them. That's funny. I'm also playing a wild magic sorcerer in another campaign. One of my players DMs a monthly game, and I have not rolled the natural one on the D20 yet, even though we've done about a dozen sessions, which is wild. No pun intended. Genuinely. I just need choice of words. But yeah, I like that. That's funny. That's good. 4th place, Ronin Macbeth with 14 upvotes. The gargoyle incident. My players cannot roll for, I'm going to omit that swear word, they cannot roll for poo. And early on, they were crossing a bridge beyond the village of Barovia. I mentioned that there were gargoyles, grotesque technically, but whatever, on the bridge. And because I have trained my players well, they rolled perception or investigation to see if these were real gargoyles or just statues. The bard rolled a 1, which made him convinced that these were gargoyles about to pounce on them if they made a wrong move. So they tried to sneak across, but the paladin rolled a 1, so they ran across the bridge screaming about the gargoyles and trying to escape what they thought was an imminent ambush, all the while Irina and the barbarian are watching this in bafflement and dismay. That's good. I like that. Brilliant. 3rd place, Dankepus Vulgaris with 25 upvotes. Started the campaign last week, and so far have only done Death House. Our -2 Wisdom Paladin threw the armoured armour down from the balcony An alright idea, yeah? Except this was literally the turn after a ranger who just barely survived her own fall and was prone at the bottom at 1 HP. Can't believe our first death was this wily IKOT nonsense. What a way to start. That is excellent. I love that. That is brilliant. And Sea of Fog, 43 upvotes. This is the thing now. I'm recording these in order. We're going from 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. It's like no pressure, 2nd and 1st place. I've got high hopes for you if you had 43 upvotes. I can't call it the outright funniest because we're not done with the game yet, but when my players met Victor Valakovich, I made sure to give him a classic goth kid manner of speaking, replete with, dude, sheesh, bro, there's no way. He and the party wizard actually got along pretty well because they both like magic, so the party wizard asked to speak to Victor's cats, since she can speak with small beasts as a gnome, and when the cats all started talking exactly like Victor, just high-pitched, bro, freaking like, what's up, you got any food? The entire table lost it, myself included. That day I learned it's hard to keep a straight face when you're embodying an emo kid's equally emo cat skeleton. I like that. That's really funny. Yeah, I've had, I'm running a Ravenloft campaign as a sequel to Curse of Strahd, and they went to Markovia, which has intelligent animals, and as part of that, I gave them all, they could all speak common, and I'm having to role play as like a little intelligent cat that can talk, a little intelligent snake, so I can relate to that a lot. First place, Good Dude 08, with 75 upvotes. Oh my gosh. And I'm reading this on, I'm going to presume it's his cake day as well, his little cake icon as well, isn't that cute? Context, a PC in my game who often spoke in the third person and went by no one had really bonded with one of the rescued orphans from the mill, a young boy named Freak, spelled with 2 E's. Their player missed a session where the party was saying something very emotional. Saying some very emotional goodbyes to the children as they were being left at the Valaki orphanage for very understandable safety reasons while the party continued their quest. Since the player wasn't there, no one, in quotes, because that's the name of the person, was otherwise occupied on a hunt outside of town and thus couldn't be there to say goodbye, but he had left a gift for the child with another party member. Young Freak was expressing his fear of being abandoned, so the party member spoke up. I've just read ahead. Presenting the gift and declares with heartfelt, sincere sentiment, no one loves you, Freak. Totally unintentional by the player. After a second of complete silence, the table dissolved into uncontrollable laughter. Totally changed the mood of the scene, but that line was so memorable that it still comes up regularly in our games years later. Poor Freak. That was good. I gotta say, that's probably I think my favourite was the one with the armoured armour being pushed down the stairs or off the balcony in Death House. Yay! That one made me, I think, full on lol. But all of those were great. That was great. I'm going to go ahead now and share my 3 funny stories. Hopefully they live up to the 5 stories that I've just read out loud. Okay, so I'm going to read, my screen's over here, so you're just going to see me reading. This first one was called, I'm going to include links to these in the description, so feel free to read them in your own time or if you'd rather read them afterwards as well. This was one I posted on the Curse of Strahd subreddit, bloody hell, 3 years ago. Oh, man. A big laugh and an unexpected moment reading the Tome of Strahd. And it got 87 upvotes on the Curse of Strahd subreddit, so I was pretty chuffed with that. One of my players gave me one of the biggest laughs I've ever had while DMing at the least expected moment while reading the Tome of Strahd. The tome was in the Watcher house with Leo de Lisnia's bones. They're on good terms with Lady Watcher, having helped her to become Watchterville's new... I called it Watchterville when she took over Valaki. Some people say Watchterberg or Watcher something else. I called it Watchterville. So she became Watchterville's new burgomaster. She left the dining room for a few minutes to run a quick errand, giving them a chance to snoop around her house. The bard's idea was to check notes. Yes, polymorph the warlock into a frog, giving the wizard the excuse to walk around looking for his missing past frog. Okay then. She finds some snoop and tells them off, so instead they decide to just go ahead and ask her about the bones of an ancient enemy. She tells them Leo's story, which I lifted from the novel I Strahd, and retrieves the tome from the iron chest in her room. She went alone, so the players didn't see... I gave the opportunity that one of them would say they'd have to escort her, or maybe they'd follow her and go in, but none of them did. But she went alone, so they didn't see Nikolai on the bed. They read it together in the dining room, with Lady Watcher reading it out loud to them. I broke it up into 3 parts, with Lady Watcher feeling torn about whether or not they should continue reading it, allowing the players to roll perception checks to encourage her to keep going. They passed all of them. The music I put on while reading it in Strahd's voice was Spooky, Defiled Temple by Tabletop Audio, and it finished exactly as I read the final line. I shall seal shut the walls of the stairs, that none may disturb me. Then, silence. And then the player, whose Warlock PC, who was still polymorphed to Frog all that time, broke the silence. Ah, ribbit. The second story, the story of Abs. Abs in quote. How Esmeralda's throwaway nickname for the Abbot led to a funny punchline sessions later. I'll skip the intro, which is a preface saying, sorry, I tend to be a bit silly with my campaigns, a bit jokey, a big fan of Castlevania on Netflix, blah, blah, blah. Also, while I play as a serious badass in combat, I play her as quite jokey and less serious out of combat, even in a place like Barovia. Anyway, on to the main story. I introduced Ez to the PCs at the Tower, the Esmeralda's retreat event, before they've been to Krezk. As the symbol was at the Abbey, I had to tell them that she thought it might have been there based on the wording of the card reading. I played it that Ez had already been to Krezk and the Abbey, as per that chapter of the book, but that the PCs were meeting her at the tower instead. In other words, instead of finding her at the Abbey, where she'd been waiting for Strahd to arrive, I had her be at the Abbey. Then she got bored of waiting and left, went to Strahd's castle, got her butt kicked, and then retreated to the tower, so sort of combining the story elements. This meant she'd already met the Abbot, Vasilika, Cloven, Otto, and Siegfried. When the PCs made it to Krezk and they met the Abbot, who was about to raise Ilya from the dead as per the Something Old event, I had him turn to her and say, Esmeralda, lovely to see you again. All right, Abs, how's it going? Esmeralda, please, we've been over this. My name is not Abs, it's the Abbot. Oh yeah, sorry, mate. She then quietly told the PCs that the reason she calls him Abs is despite the fact that he's some dorky holy guy, she thinks it'd be really funny if he had a kicking bod under those holy robes of his. At the Abbey, they found the symbol and returned to the main hall to see Strahd mocking the Abbot for his poor work on Vasilika. After Strahd left and the PCs were planning to leave Krezk, he gave them the wedding dress fetch quest, that's the Something Borrowed event. He travelled to Vallaki with Anna Kreskova's entourage, got the dress from the Baroness and returned to Krezk the next day. The Abbot was thankful for the dress, but he wanted more. This time he wanted the PCs to give him Irina for inspiration. This immediately freaked out the PCs, who had been protective of Irina, and so one of them suddenly decided to thunderwave him, roll initiative. In the first round of combat, the Abbot transformed to reveal his true form, a Deva. If you've seen the pic in the Monster Manual, which I'm showing now, you'll see that he's a topless, muscly angel. To which Ez cried, holy beep, he does have abs! Yeah. So that was quite funny. At least one of my players just burst out in laughter, just found it was hilarious and remembered the earlier point where he was called Abs as a nickname. And finally, and this actually had the most upvotes, this had 92 upvotes, the perfect Szoldar and Yevgeni moment. And it was all thanks to bad dice rolls. So Szoldar and Yevgeni are the wolf hunters in the Blue Water Inn. It happened a while ago. The book says Szoldar speaks brusquely, while Yevgeni usually parrots his friend in not so many words. So occasionally Szoldar would say something, and I'd have Yevgeni chuckle and say, yeah, and just repeat the last words back. The players love it. Yevgeni's become one of their favourite NPCs as a result. At the time, we were mid to end game of Curse of Strahd, pretty much all of Vallaki done, and so I had Strahd launch an attack on the Blue Water Inn. So just so that the PC's safe space no longer feels as safe. Only some wolves and some swarms of bats, nothing major. Anyway, in addition to the PCs, the Martikovs, the Watchter brothers, and Barovian commoners, Szoldar and Yevgeni were also present, and they helped to tackle the threat. I had them on the same initiative order, Szoldar first, then Yevgeni. Now, I know it's a contentious issue, but I do the whole nat 1 equals critical fail, the worst thing happens thing. Usually the PC drops their weapon and accidentally hits an ally. Do a variation of that where they have to roll a 1 on the d20 and then also a 1 on a d4 as well, so it happens a lot less frequently. It's like a 1 in 80 chance, not a 1 in 20. Szoldar rolled a 1 on the d20 and then a 1 on the d4, accidentally hitting a Barovia commoner with his short sword instead of some bats. I didn't mean to do that, he cried. Then it was Yevgeni's turn, and amazingly he rolled a 1 on the d20 and then a 1 on the d4. What are the odds? His longbow arrow accidentally hit one of the PCs. He looked at the PCs he hit, then at Solstar, then back at the PCs, and he shouted, "Hey, yeah, I didn't mean to do that." And that's it. Okay, so this was a silly video. I am genuinely worried about the reaction. Hopefully people find it funny. I'm anticipating 1 or 2 people being like, "Oh, what? Yeah, Curse of Strahd, it's supposed to be serious and scary." And yes, it is supposed to be serious and scary, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of humour. I haven't got the book to hand, but I'm pretty sure there's even a bit in the book where it says humour works well in a horror campaign. So there. If the book says it, it must be true. It must be right. I've got a lot of other videos I've done that are a lot less silly than this. Some of them are focused on Curse of Strahd. Some of them are focused on Ravenloft as a whole for if you're thinking of running, like I'm doing at the moment, in my own game that I'm running for my own players, a Ravenloft campaign as a sequel to Curse of Strahd. So if you think you'll go down that route, you're running Curse of Strahd at the moment, or you're thinking of running Curse of Strahd, and then you think you'll do a Ravenloft campaign, hopefully both lots of videos will help you. But if you're running Curse of Strahd, hopefully the Curse of Strahd videos will help you. Consider liking, consider subscribing, blah, 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 all that stuff that YouTubers say. I'm not very like professional when it comes to this kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, just press buttons, will you? And I'm going to leave like the little things that appear here. Hopefully this video is useful to you, and see you at the next one. Thank you, Mr. Wanderers.